Sam here.
Okay, thank you. Brother Sam.
Ahmed, actually, you showed that you're not understanding the verse. Because if the Torah of Moses is the book of Allah, none can change the words of Allah, and that includes his book. But you just said that there are parts of the Torah you accept and you don't accept. That means it has been changed. It doesn't remain intact. So no, you're not agreeing with the passage. You're contradicting it. So let me repeat the point again so you understand what I'm saying. The Torah was given to Musa. It is the book of Allah. The book of Allah is the words of Allah. None can change the words of Allah. But you just said that only parts of that Torah remain and other parts are not from Allah. So it has been changed. It doesn't remain intact. That means you are not agreeing with the passage. Please tell me, why don't you?
Okay, give me...
Go ahead, respond.
Give me time to respond. Okay, first of all, you switch your word between book and words of Allah.
No, I didn't.
First of all...
This is being recorded. Don't misrepresent me. I said in the context, the book of Allah are His words. And I said twice already that the Torah is the book of Allah, therefore the Torah are His words. I said it two times.
That is your own conclusion.
I'm recording it. It's recorded. I said that. Okay.
Wait a second. Ahmed, in the Quran, in the Arabic, the same word in Arabic, kitab. Like, for example, in Surah Al-Baqarah, verse 87, it says, وَلَقَدْ أَعْطِينَا مُوسَى الْكِتَابِ. Al-Kitab, it's the same exact word. Al-Kitab min Rabbuka. The same exact word in Arabic for the Torah, for the Anjil, for the Quran. And according to Surah Al-Baqarah, Surah 2, verse 136, it says, we do not discriminate. We do not discriminate any of them. To Allah we have surrendered ourselves in Islam. We do not discriminate from what has been revealed to Ibrahim, to Ishmael, to Ishaq, to Yaqub. But you are discriminating from the Quran and from the Torah, and you have no reason in the Arabic of the Quran to do so.
Come back to you because you went to different verse right now. Sam said...
Okay, he's not following with us, Joseph. It's... Ahmed, do you understand why he went to a different verse? He's trying to show you that the Torah of Moses is the kitab.
Okay. There's no one can change the words of Allah, and there's no one can change the book of Allah.
No, by the way, he just made a mistake. No, he made a mistake. Distinction. Ahmed, for the love of Allah, you love Allah. Surah 18:27. The context is clear. You believe your God told your prophet, recite the book, and then he gives him the promise, none can change the words of Allah. Meaning, don't be afraid. This book, recite it, because no one can change the words of Allah. Identifying the book with his words. Follow the argument, follow the logic. If the book happens to be the words of Allah, and if the Torah of Moses is the book of Allah, then that means the Torah is also the words of Allah. No one can change his words. That means no one can change any of his books, not just the Quran. You see the logic?
By the way, one more thing. There in Surah 2, verse 87, where it calls the Torah Al-Kitab, the very same context, the very next verse, it says, they say our hearts are the wrappings which preserve Allah's word. We need no more.
So it's called the word,
Preserve Allah's word. And that is here in the Arabic, it says, let's see. It says, this should be kalima. I'll find the Arabic word for you, but it says Allah's word. I'll take a look at it. It's Allah's word, it's the kitab, the same for the Torah, the same for the Quran. Your argument is not good. Bring another one.
Okay. No, it's good, and just let me complete my logic.
Answer now that you understand the argument. Go ahead, answer it now that you understood the argument.
Okay, I understood the argument. Here, read the book of Allah, recite the Quran to your people. That
all right, you're still not following the argument. Okay.
No one will change the word of Allah.
It doesn't say the Quran. You're interposing the word Quran. It just says Al-Kitab.
Even if it says the Quran, see, you're giving him a chance to escape.
I really do not understand how he could miss this point. Assuming he's talking about the Quran. I will grant that he's talking about the Quran here. The point of the verse is no one can corrupt it because no one can corrupt the words of Allah.
Exactly.
Now, you as a Muslim don't believe that that's the only book you reveal. This verse says no one can corrupt the words of Allah. Did the Torah and the Injil contain the words of Allah?
Yes,
of course.
absolutely.
According to that verse, if it's the words of Allah, it can't be corrupted. Why? Because Allah is all-powerful. He would never allow mere human beings, petty human beings, to corrupt His word. And that's why, during the time of Muhammad, Muhammad was able to put his hand on a copy of the Torah, which he couldn't read if he wanted to. He was able to put his hand on a copy of the Torah and say, I believe in you and in the one who revealed you, because he really believed that this is the word of Allah. Now, if you believe that that book had been corrupted and changed and altered, then Muhammad put his hand on a corrupt, changed, altered book full of error and corruption and said that it's the word of Allah. How can you believe this? How can you not understand our basic point? You see, this is what you have to do as a Muslim. You can't go with the obvious meaning of Muhammad's words. You can't go with the obvious meaning of a verse of the Quran, because if you do, you would have to say the Bible can't possibly have been corrupted. But if you say the Bible can't have been corrupted, then you're saying that the deity of Christ, Jesus' sacrificial death, His resurrection from the dead have to be true. But you can't say that either. That's the point of this entire show. You're stuck. There's nowhere to go for you. The only thing you can do is either be totally inconsistent and reinterpret everything Muhammad said and be blind to the fact that the Quran affirms the Bible, or you can reject Muhammad. You have to do one or the other.
Okay, quickly, Ahmed, I'll give you one more chance to state a point, then we have to go to the next caller. Go ahead.
I dare all three of you to give you 30 minutes without interruption. 30 seconds.
Why don't you debate us live? We'll take you a debate.
He said 30 seconds. He said 30 seconds.
I thought he said 30 minutes.
No,
30 seconds, go.
Oh, 30 seconds. Oh, okay. 30 seconds, go ahead.
Interruption.
Okay, no interruption. Go ahead.
First of all, I said that the word of Allah is I confirm it by what is in the Bible. What is in the Torah? What is in the New Testament? What is in the Quran? If it's confirm each other, then it's true. That's how I prove it. How is that? Let's use one example. Moses said, "You shall not commit adultery." Jesus said, in a closer translation, I'm not quoting. Jesus said, if you look at women lustfully, you committed adultery. The Quran said, "Oh men, lower your gaze. Woman, dress modest for this and this and this." So those three verses confirm each other. That's the word of Allah. No one can change that one. No one is able to change that word. That's how I confirm that the word of Allah is safe in the Old Testament, in the New Testament, and in the Quran. And that's how I prove it.
All right, friend. Well, we understand your position now, but we didn't give you just 30 seconds. We gave you over a minute. And I'll just say, if that's your methodology, here are three people. I'm just going to take what they all agree on. You can do that with anything. You can do that with a Buddhist and with a Hindu and with a Christian, and they'll agree on some things.
Or why don't you do this?
What about the reverse? What about the reverse, Ahmed? If you have something in the Quran and you can't find it in the New Testament or the Old Testament, do you still believe in it in the Quran?
If the Old and New Testaments agree yes. against the Quran, then that means that's two witnesses against the Quran. The Quran should be rejected.
Yes. So, for instance, if the Old Testament says that God is going to enter into His creation as a human being, as Isaiah 9:6 declares, and if the New Testament confirms this, read John 1, then we say, aha, here's confirmation. If we then go to the Quran and the Quran disagrees, we have to say, here's two witnesses against one witness. And not only that, you have Jesus rising from the dead. Of course we're going to believe what he says over Muhammad, who couldn't perform any miracles at all. And by the way, I'll just add, where are you getting this method? Is that what the Quran says? Does the Quran say, go to the parts of the New Testament and the parts of the Old